Welcome to Excel 2016 Module 11. This is Part 7. We will be creating a second pivot table, and this time we will be working with hierarchies in the data model as well as in the pivot table. You will need to have completed Part 5 of Module 11 to create the data model in order to complete this section. So we are going to start out in our product report workbook. You want to make sure that you are on the product sold by date worksheet and that you are in cell A4. Your data model should have been created in Module 11 Part 5. So you're going to go to your Insert tab and you're going to insert a pivot table. You want to make sure that it says this to use this workbook's data model and that you are loading it in the existing worksheet in cell A4. Each of our queries that are in our data model are listed here with the fields that we had selected for the data model. So if we want to use those in our pivot table, we simply click on the table or the query name, items purchased, and we're going to choose to use item quantity. It put it in our sum values. We could have also dragged it there if we wanted to make sure it ended up there. We are going to click the drop down arrow and choose value field settings. We're going to change the custom name to read item quantity. And we're going to change the number formatting to be number with 0 decimals and 1,000 separator being used. Next, we're going to add some additional fields. We're going to start out in our product table and we're going to drag category into our columns. Again, if you check the box and it puts it somewhere else, you can simply move it. And next we're going to click on customer orders and we're going to drag the order date into the rows. You can see when you drag it in that it added additional fields. So it broke it out by the year, quarter, and month. And what that allows us to do is use these plus, collapse, or expand indicators. And we can look at the year. We can look at the quarter. We can look at the month or the specific day. So we can also do the minus to collapse all that detail back. And now we're going to look at how we can use a hierarchy in our data model to create a similar effect that works a little easier. And we can also use it on things other than dates, which we will use on the categories. So we're going to start out on the data tab, the Power Pivot tab, and we're going to go over to, in the data model group, the Manage button. Once you open your Power Pivot tool, I want you to go to the diagram view, which we went to when we created our relationships. On the customer order button, we're going to use this button that's in the upper right hand corner. It's called Create Hierarchy. It has the little yellow dots on it. We're going to click on that button and notice it creates a new field down here that it calls a hierarchy. It called it Hierarchy 1. We are going to type in a new name for that and call it Date. When you hit enter, it creates that hierarchy for you. You might want to enlarge this box a little bit so that you can see the fields as you're dragging them into it. You need to drag them in this order. So I'm going to click on the order date year, and I'm going to drag that down and put it in the date hierarchy. Notice it's still above it as well, but you need to make sure it's also in the hierarchy. Then I'm going to do the order date quarter. I'm going to do the order date month. And then finally, I'm going to do the order date. And I got them out of order, so I have to move it. You want to make sure that they are in year, quarter, month, date order, so that the hierarchy matches the format that you want to use it in. The next hierarchy we're going to make is for our products. So we're going to go up to our product table and we're going to use the Create Hierarchy button. It has the yellow dots on it. Click in that and create a new hierarchy. This one we are going to call Product, so we will type Product. I again like to enlarge my box a little bit so I can see what I'm dragging into it. The first field you want to drag in is the category. So you're going to drag the category into the product hierarchy, followed by the subcategory, followed by the description. You're going to close your Power Pivot window. And if it asks you to enable the content, you'll enable the content. Now, if we want to use our hierarchies that we just created in our pivot table, you need to remove what you already have in the columns. So we're going to drag the category off and drag all of the date fields out of the pivot table. Now to put them in, we are going to choose the customer orders, and you'll notice it's got your hierarchy listed first, followed by more fields. So if you wanted something else other than the hierarchy, you would have to click on the more fields. We're going to choose the date and drag it down into the rows. Under products, we're going to choose the product hierarchy and drag that into the columns. Now if we want to drill down, we can click on the drum, and on our Pivot Table Analyze tab, we have a drill down button. It's now active since we're dealing with a hierarchy. So when you drill down, it becomes the subcategory, and then finally it becomes the description. And when you're at the bottom of your hierarchy, then drill down is no longer an option. You can only drill up. We have the same capability now on years. Click on the date field. You can drill down. It'll show you the quarter. It'll show you the month. And it'll show you the days within that. And you can drill up to get back to the summary information. And that concludes this segment of Module 11.